What's up, everybody? Yo, what a week. What a week. There has been so much going on. There is so much to talk about. A lot going on behind the scenes, too. It's just kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. And, with all the confusion going on and different narratives, I'm sure some of you might have been a little confused by some videos that I made recently, especially if you follow me on IG, where I came out and I said, I'm having a very hard time believing that Charlie Kirk is really dead. I'm not saying that I know that he's alive. I'm not saying that I'm even 90% sure that he's alive. But if I had to put money on it, I would say that he's alive. And a lot of that doesn't even just have to do with the evidence itself. It's just the levels. It's just seeing how far the powers that be are willing to go. As far as everything that we've seen with the files, different major events over the years and conspiracy theories. There are people that believe that certain events were an inside job. And if it was, that was over a decade in planning. So it just makes me wonder, if they wanted to make a martyr, how far would they be willing to go? How much planning would go into that? How wide would that web be? Who would be involved? But I'm not going to dig too deep into that today. I just wanted to put that out there. We're going to cover some other stuff today. I want to start with something fun. It's actually one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my entire life. I don't know why. I thought this was so funny, but I almost pissed myself. And shout out to Ryan Mata. Yo, he's been a friend of the channel, and I really appreciate that. And I was scrolling on X, and I saw this on his page. I got to put the headphones on for this one. Yo, oh my God. So Andrew Tate flew to Hong Kong to put a Chinese curse on Ben Shapiro. And I don't know why. I just thought this was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. So let's go. Let's have some fun.
What has the whole world been waiting for?
I think it's actually, no, because I analyze and study geopolitics in my spare time. I think it's for somebody to put a Chinese curse on Ben Shapiro.
Correct.
Thank you.
We came to Hong Kong to put a Chinese curse on Ben Shapiro.
Yo, and part of it is Andrew Tate is such a character. And he's just the way he's correct. We came to, yo. Is it me? Yo, put a 1 in the chat if you think that I'm overreacting. If I think that this is way too funny. And put a 2 if you agree with me. Let's go.
And that's exactly what we're going to do, because no one else is fucking doing it. As usual, everyone else is just standing around. So we're going to have...
No one else is putting a Chinese curse on Ben Shapiro. So Andrew Tate has to step up and be the guy. Yeah. Where did he come up with this shit?
To get this done. So it turns out these old ladies beating villains costs 50 Hong Kong dollars per person. Luckily, in Hong Kong dollars, I'm literally a fucking trillionaire. So let's get it done. Can you bring up a picture of Ben Shapiro, please?
This is stupid.
Hi, you can beat my villains? Okay.
He said you can beat my villains. Yo. Well, I don't know why I think this is so funny, but I watched it 4 times today, and I cried every time.
Sure. He's our villain. He's a bad guy. We need to get rid of him. What do I do?
Write his name.
Write his name. Sure.
On the little figurine.
Ben This is a fair fight, though, because Ben and her are about the same size.
Yeah.
So you can't complain. Shapiro. Hey, Ben Shapiro. That's right. Whoop his ass. Yeah, that's right. Get it.
Look, this is why we came to Hong Kong.
This isn't why we.
This is
Yo. Yo. Oh my god. Is that's got to be a thing now? Like that has to be a thing now. Yo, I showed that to my girl and she got so mad at me because she's like, really Christian, as am I. But she thinks that like once you start getting into like the dark spirits and spiritual world in that aspect, that it's like going too far. But I'm like, fuck it. It's I'm watching it, I'm covering it, and it's going on the thumbnail. Yeah, I just couldn't. I couldn't. You notice I tried to do the little Ben Shapiro Beetlejuice head. Got him sprinkling the shit. I don't know. I don't know if any of you guys appreciated that. You probably saw it and were like, what the hell is this? But now you know. Oh, man. All right. So now maybe we should get a little bit more serious. So now, of course, with Joe Kent's resignation and very public protest of the war with Iran, we're seeing a huge slander campaign against him. Really unjustified, in my opinion. I mean, listen, I'm not in intelligence. I don't have any way to peek behind the curtain, behind the scenes. But personally, my opinion from the research I've done, I do not think Iran was a threat to America. I mean, you look at the size of the oceans that we have separating us from everybody else, and the amount that we spend on weapons and the tech we have and the nuclear arsenal. I don't think any country on the globe is really a threat to America. Not from overseas. The only way a country is going to threaten America is from the inside. It's from corrupting our businesses, corrupting our politicians, and destroying us from the inside. That is my opinion. That is what I believe. I'm not telling anybody else to believe that. But when Tulsi Gabbard got the job, she testified that she didn't think that Iran was an imminent threat. And now we're not just at war with Iran, but it really feels like it's World War III. China is setting up and getting in a position to possibly take Taiwan, although I don't even think that they're really trying to do it by force, because now with all the destabilization with energy on the globe, China's just, throwing them a little olive branch saying, listen, reunify and you'll get energy security. You won't have to worry. All this stuff going on, oil, gas, don't worry. We got you. Guaranteed. And with the way the world's going, that guarantee might be very meaningful. And I don't know if you guys are, tuned into geopolitics and, which country does what. But a lot of this AI tech, a lot of these chips and stuff that they make for computers and whatnot, Taiwan is a very big player in that. And I think that is part of the reason why, America wants to keep that relationship and wants to keep them separated from China. And we have no idea what types of long-term ramifications are going to come of this war. And as usual, our government is just lying to us about everything. They're lying about why it started. They're lying about how it's going. They're not making any promises about things they're not going to do. I mean, we're already sending thousands of Marines. They're talking about, they're not shooting down the idea of a draft. And it's very scary. And, I made a video today talking about how the young male vote, the same demographic that would be getting drafted, had a lot to do with why Trump won. And I think it's not just a slap in the face, but it's a huge betrayal to the whole country. because Trump was supposed to be the president of peace. He was supposed to be the president of peace. And a lot of people believed in him, including me. And now we're at war. Americans are already dying. Thousands of people are dying across the globe. Prices are going up. Inflation's about to skyrocket. I mean, get ready for that again. It's really bad. It's really bad. And now we have one government official in that cabinet that said enough is enough, and I don't want to be a part of this, and it's bullshit. And now the whole system is attacking him. And I think that's bullshit. So let's see. With that said, oh my God, I forgot about this. Look at this guy. Remember him? Bill O'Reilly. Oh my God. Let's see what he has to say.
They don't care, in general, the EU and NATO, about what Iran does or what their potential for violence is. And the reason they don't care is they don't like Israel. Across the board in Europe, Israel's got no friends there. None. Now, you can go back in history, you can do anti-Semitism. I don't know exactly why that is, but it's there. It has been there.
Really, Bill? You don't know why people don't like Israel right now? And why does it always have to go? You notice how it always got to go back to anti-Semitism? Like, it can never just be, hey, we don't like their diplomacy. Hey, you know, we don't like how they're just always involved in some kind of conflict. Hey, you know, we really don't appreciate what was going on with Einstein. You know, it's got to be anti-Semitism. That's the only explanation. And we're all wrong. You know, the entire world is wrong. Let me ask you something. If I was still in my, I don't even want to call them glory days, but let's just say once upon a time, I myself had a little dark period. Well, let's say I was on a huge bender and I got thrown out of 109 bars. And you found out that I got into a big brawl at that 110th bar. Are you going to blame me or are you going to blame the bar? I know I'm not the first one to say that analogy, but I mean, come on. Let's be real here. Oh, here we go. We got another brawler right here. Let's see what he has to say.
Joe Kent had other aspects of his background that most people decided to look askance at, and that is his affinity for some of these sort of nationalists, supremacists, and even neo-Nazi podcasters and platformers. He had done some interview. It became controversial during his last campaign. Some of the Republicans running against him were very outspoken about these connections, while they were overlooked or they weren't really studied or examined very closely. So he became the deputy National Security Advisor to the President of the United States. Now, the President has to manage a ton, so he has to delegate a ton. And so he expects the people who are recommending him to help vet them, to help make sure they are who they say they are, that they're on the program and they believe in the President's agenda and they're going to be loyal to that, not undermine it, sabotage it, leak about it, but help him implement his agenda. This happens through all presidencies. You'll have individuals who come there with an ulterior motive, where they change their mind once they're there, or they give one impression when in fact behind the scenes they're doing something else. Joe Kent was one of those people.
Wait, Joe Kent was one of those people? Joe Kent was one of those people. Hold on, I just want to play that last part again to make sure that I heard it right.
Come there with an ulterior President's agenda, and they're going to be loyal to that, not undermine it, sabotage it, leak about it, but help him implement his agenda. This happens through all presidencies. You'll have individuals who come there with an ulterior motive, where they change their mind once they're there.
Okay, so he's saying that sometimes you'll have people that get to the White House and they have an ulterior motive. They'll change their mind once they're there.
They give one impression when in fact behind the scenes they're doing something else. Joe Kent.
They'll give who one impression? The American people? Does that sound like Joe Kent is that kind of individual? Is Joe Kent the one that campaigned, making a whole bunch of promises, saying he was going to do one thing and go in one direction, and then get into office and do the exact opposite in almost every category? I don't know.
I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars.
No more wars, no more disruptions. We will have prosperity and we will have peace. Under Trump, we will have no more wars, no more disruptions, and we will have prosperity and peace for all. I am the candidate of peace. I am peace.
I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars.
No more wars, no more disruptions. We will have prosperity.
All right. Well, that didn't really pan out. Remember when he went on Rogan? Hold on. Let me see if I got it better. Nope, not that one, not that one. All right, this works.
You know, the Middle East is rapidly changing. You know, there are prophets that say the world will come to an end in the Middle East. You know that, right? And we have weapons today that are so scary. When you look, I rebuilt them all. And when you look at the weapons we have today, the biggest threat we have in the world today is nuclear weapons. And we have other weapons, too, that are devastating. But the nuclear weapons, the biggest threat we have in the world today. And that's what I was talking about de-escalation with both China and Russia. I'm telling you, we were going to de-escalate. They were going to de-escalate. You got to be careful. It's a little tricky playing with them because they say we're going to do it and they don't do it, maybe. But
So he says that, you know, he's aware that there are a lot of prophets. There are people that think that the world is going to end from a war in the Middle East. And then he talks about de-escalation with other countries. And then he says that they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. They said they're going to do it, and they're not. Just like Trump said that he was going to be the president of peace. He was going to end all the wars. He is aware that there are prophets, that there are people that believe that the wars in the Middle East are going to lead to the end of the world. Yet, he started World War III in the Middle East. And now these other countries that he's talking about they have problems with de-escalating, they're positioning themselves. Like China is in a very, very, very comfortable position right now. I mean, it's hard to gauge with Russia because of the conflicts that they have going on. But, I mean, I don't think he's making America great again. That's all I'm saying.
Understood the curse, too. It's a curse. It's China's way behind us, but they'll catch us within 5 years.
So let's imagine, let's say you win in November. What do you do differently, and how do you change this course that it seems we are on for World War III? How do you get us out of Ukraine? How do you stop what's going on in the Middle East? How do you put a stop to this?
Well, it's a very to me, it's an easy question because I think I can do it easily, but it's a complex question in the sense that the times change every day.
He thinks he can do it easily. You guys, you know what I mean? This wasn't that long ago.
Changes. Who's winning, who's not winning. I mean, Russia's a war machine. Whether you like it or not, it just grinds along. You speak to people like Viktor Orban, he'll tell you it's just a big, fat war machine, and that's what's happening. You look at what's happened to Ukraine. If I were there, it would have never happened.
But what could you do now? If you get into office in January, what could you do now?
Right now, you would get both of them. I know both very well. And again, I do not want to tell you, for the purpose of looking smart to 5 people that say, oh, he was great, because if I told you exactly what I do, I could never make the deal. All I can tell you is that I would meet with Putin and I would meet with him, and I know exactly what.
You know what? Maybe he should have told Rogan. Maybe he should have asked Rogan for some advice, because something tells me that if Joe Rogan was president, he'd be doing a much better job than Donald J. Trump. That's, again, I am not an intelligence agent or an analysis. I don't know exactly what they know behind the curtain, but just going by his own words, Donald Trump is going to go down as the biggest disappointment in American history, as long as he doesn't get us all blown up and we actually still have American history.
Because the Iranian regime has told Sky News, if you put boots on the ground in Iran, it will be another Vietnam. Are you afraid of that?
No, I'm not afraid of. I'm really not afraid of anything.
He's not afraid of anything except for releasing the Epstein files. It's the only thing that Donald J. Trump seems to be afraid of. And I'm going to say it that time. I'm not going to use the code words. Fuck him. All right, now let's get to a real American hero, somebody who actually seems to have some integrity and stand for something and look out for the interests of Americans. Joe Kent. Let's see the slander that's going on right now.
Joe Kent, the former director of the United States National Counterterror Center, this is from Semaphore, he just resigned. He's now under FBI investigation for allegedly leaking classified information. And the investigation predates his departure. Congressman, your reaction to that tonight? Wow.
Wait, hold on. So first the CIA is investigating Tucker and reading his messages. And now they're investigating their own counterterrorism? Their own guy that's heading counterterrorism? Is it me, or does it feel like the deep state is really just investigating the people with influence that might not be going along with the plan? You know, let's not forget, whatever did or didn't happen to Charlie Kirk on September 10th, Joe Kent was the one who wanted to do the investigation to see if there was a foreign influence involved. And he got denied by Kash Patel. And now they've been talking about sleeper cells that they're concerned about, which to me is just crazy, because how much are they spending on ICE? You know, maybe it would have been a good idea for Trump and this administration and the FBI and ICE to go and round up all these potential sleeper cells and investigate them, interrogate them, deport them, contain them, do whatever they got to do, and then go provoke them. I think things are going a little bit backwards, a little bit upside down. Let's bomb Iran. Then we'll just tell everybody that we know that there's sleeper cells. And while we're doing that, we'll investigate our own people, because they actually have logical explanations for why we shouldn't be in this war in the first place. Am I like is this like a stretch here? Am I like, do I have some kind of gross misinterpretation of the situation?
Well, there's a lot there, and I think that we need to let this investigation play out, but we shouldn't tolerate any leakers in the administration, particularly regarding classified national security interests and information. So we'll let this play out and see where it goes, but if he was leaking, he ought to be held accountable just like anybody else would be.
Now,
Isn't it hysterical hearing people on Fox News talking about how people should be held accountable? Like the people held accountable. Like, the balls on these people. The balls on these people. All this stuff with the files, everything that we know. Not a single person has been held accountable. In fact, he accomplished all of his goals. Everything that they seemed to have been working towards, all of this blackmail. That's why, you got to love it. Alex Jones, what a hack. What a hack Alex Jones is. He's sitting there trying to tell people that, oh, Trump has the files. He's becoming the new deep state. He's using the blackmail on them. Really? Really? Because it seems to me that ever since, Trump got in office, the whole plan that those files were behind just got accelerated. Like they just stepped on the gas. They are full speed ahead, straight into Armageddon. Fuck Alex Jones. Let me just throw that one out there, too.
5 minutes ago, he seemed to think that Iran was a big threat, and then suddenly that threat went away. It was very odd. Joke.
Yeah, very odd. Very odd indeed. I would have to say it's most odd, if you know what I mean. Oh, here we go. I'm not going to yell today. I'm not even going to do it. I'm not going to go there. But this guy, this guy. Listen, if I had the money, I would fly to Hong Kong right now. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. I would fly to Hong Kong right now with a picture of this fat fucking loser.
I think Joe Kent is a coward. I think he's a coward, and he should be ashamed of himself. He should be honored for his service that he committed to this country, but he's a coward for what he did. And then it had nothing to do with Israel. I think what he said about us fighting the war for Israel is nonsensical. But people have a right to have a stupid opinion if they want to. But the fact that you think you a man, you think you doing something, you think it's honorable that you can say, I'm going to resign because I don't believe in this, but the men and women who serve can't resign. You think you doing something. You're not a leader. You're a coward. You are a coward. It ain't got nothing to do with Israel. I don't care what he said about Israel. I think Joe Kent is a...
Yo, this guy is such a loser. He is such a loser. There is so much that I want to say. In fact, if I said everything that I wanted to say, I would get demonetized in a heartbeat. Unk. Yeah, so that's as far as I'm gonna go. It's as far as I'm gonna go. But he is another one. He is another one. And never forget, he was the first one coming out, sticking up for Uncle Benny, sticking up for Erica, sticking up for Turning Point USA. Anybody who questioned the narrative wasn't a friend to Charlie or offending Charlie. However he was wording it, I don't know. I don't watch this freaking loser enough to like quote him that accurately. But oh my God, what a piece of shit. Yo, what a piece of shit. That's all I'm going to say for now. I'm going to try to keep it PG. Kinda. Oh, I know I covered this before if you saw my earlier video, but let's listen to at least part of it.
Trump appointed Kent to be the director of the Counterterrorism Center. So Trump says, well, I always thought he was bad on security. Really? So you always thought that your own nominee to be the director of the Counterterrorism Center was bad on security? So why then did you appoint him in the first place? That doesn't even make any sense.
That doesn't make any sense. And that seems to be the pattern with Trump. Whenever he hires somebody, it's the best guy. It's the greatest guy in the world. He's known him for years. Nobody's going to do a better job. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be the greatest thing ever. And then the second someone disagrees with Trump, they're a loser. They're this. It's some type of personal attack. They're a low IQ individual. They were never good anyway. Who needs them? You know, like these types of like slanderous little save-face tactics, you know, it could work in real estate. It could work when you have a reality show. It doesn't work when you're the president of the United States. It doesn't work when you have allegations and accusations of committing heinous crimes against women. It doesn't work when you are clearly covering up for other people committing heinous crimes against women and children. It doesn't work when somebody who worked for one of your own kids, who's part of the reason why you made it into office to begin with, gets publicly executed. And then it's clear that there's a cover-up. Like the 911 tapes don't even match up. And all the anomalies in the case become so messy and so confusing. And you see the way that everybody involved is grifting off it in one way or another. Even the guy's freaking wife, that it just gets to a point where it's such a mind screw that people don't even know if the guy is dead. It doesn't work. I say it all the time. Accountability starts at the top and it trickles down. Even if there was something wrong with Joe Kent, even if he made a mistake, if he wasn't good at his job, make no mistake, that lands on Donald Trump. Everything that there's no, they throw Kristi Noem under the bus, she gets fired. They want to throw Pam Bondi under the bus, Kash Patel. No. It's Trump. It's all Trump. And every single American soldier that dies in this war, their blood is on Trump's hands. There's no more copping out. He crossed that line, that point of no return. He can't pass the buck anymore. He can't do it. He showed us all who he really is and what he stands for when he covered up the files. And again, I don't know if Charlie Kirk is even dead. I just don't. And I'm going to cover that more this week. Actually, Saturday's episode with Danks and Kelly, we're gonna get very deep into that. So should look forward to that one. Shout out to Danks and Kelly Raybon, by the way. Fucking love them.
And see, this is where you got to say about Trump, I'm done with this guy. Are you kidding me? So Joe Kent, by the way, is totally correct about this. This is a complete break from America First foreign policy. And that is why people signed up. This is why people voted in 2016, 2020, and 2024. There are a lot of people that voted 3 times because of this, because they wanted an end to the endless wars, specifically in the Middle East. Not in Cambodia, not in Congo, not in Pakistan, but in the Middle East. And these Israel-driven wars against Israel's enemies. People voted 3 times because they wanted Americans to stop dying in Syria, Iraq, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and elsewhere. And Trump has obviously broken with that as he has plunged America into a war of choice, a war of aggression, something that was totally unnecessary. It's not a preemptive strike because it didn't preempt anything. It wasn't in self-defense because we were never attacked. It wasn't about securing a vital American interest because it's hard to parse what interest is outweighed by a regime change war in a mountainous country 3 times the size of Iraq with a population of 90 million.
All right, we've been listening to Fuentes for almost 2 minutes now. Has he said anything wrong yet? Put a 1 in the chat if you agree with him. Put a 2 if you think that he's getting something wrong. And it doesn't matter whether or not you like the guy. You know, like I always say, we have to be objective. You know, you can't go by, you know, when people say things and people give these analyses, you can't go by your personal opinions of the person when they're giving the facts. If you don't like the person, I mean. And I mean, I got nothing against Fuentes, but.
So Joe Kent is correct. You broke your promise. You betrayed America first. Consequently, he's stepping down. And what does Trump say? Well, he was always bad on security. Really? Then why did you appoint him to be the director of counterterrorism if he was so bad on security?
That's the mic drop. That's the mic drop. If he's so bad on security, why do you give him like the #1 most important security job in the country? Why? We know why Marco Rubio got his job. Because he got vetted. He got the stamp of approval from Larry Ellison. You know, the reports are coming out now where allegedly Trump had told Larry Ellison, hey, it looks like Netflix is going to get Warner Brothers, but if you really, really want it, I'll make it happen. I don't know if that's true or not, but I don't have any reason to believe it's not true at this point in time.
You liar. You utter liar and deceiver and traitor. What does that even mean? We was always bad on security. Okay, so then you should be impeached for treason. Because either every word out of your fat, disgusting mouth is a lie, or you committed treason. You appointed somebody to run the counterterrorism center that, in your own words, you had no confidence in. You thought he was always bad on security, so that's a dereliction of duty. You should be impeached. You plunge us into a war with Iran where there's a high risk of sleeper cells on U.S. soil activating. You bomb Iran all the time. We're in a heightened state of security because of what has been happening. And you appoint someone that's always been bad on security to defend the homeland and run counterterrorism. Okay, then you should be impeached. Or you're a liar, in which case you should also be impeached.
I agree 100%. I know I'm saying that a lot lately when he talks, but Trump should be impeached. But the worst part of it is, if he gets impeached, all the other scumbags on the totem pole just move up a notch. You know, like, you can't impeach the entire administration, and it's all of them. It's all of them. You know, and we don't even know what decisions Trump is actually making himself. We don't know if he's compromised or not. We don't know if he's been leveraged. We have no idea. You know, it's just like when we had Weekend at Biden's. That's a Weekend at Bernie's joke. Yo, shout out to Valhalla VFT too. He freaking beat me to it. I swear to God, I was gonna make a video covering Netanyahu and all these like videos and the allegations that he might not be with us anymore. And I'm like watching all these fake AI videos, and I'm like, yo, I should really make a freaking Weekend at Bernie's. You know, because I remember that movie from when I was a kid, and I've used that reference before. And Valhalla beat me to it. I didn't even get to watch. You know what? Maybe we'll watch that video. Maybe we'll add that one to the list tonight, because I didn't even get to see it yet. But yo, he's just been knocking them out of the park lately. I don't know how he does it.
Too much. It's too much at this point. I've just had it up to here. I can't tolerate anymore. I'm not a stupid person. I'm not a dummy. And I'm not a sycophant either. I could be a very loyal person, and I understand that there is some deference that is owed to the leader of any organization, of any movement, but this is bullshit. This is insulting. This is insulting to the intelligence of every American. This is insulting to the dignity of every American soldier. You sit there in the Oval Office and you say, well, I always thought he was bad on security. Hey, dumbass, who appointed him then?
Yo, I'm paying attention to the chat right now, and yeah, apparently YouTube is hiding me from a lot of people. I've been getting that a lot. But do me a favor, like the video because it helps. Obviously, all the comments help. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe, and make sure you hit that notification bell, because it does make a difference. I don't know if you're going to get every notification, but I know you're not going to get them at all if you don't hit that bell. Get Bayes to pull what up? What do you guys want me to pull up? Nana, what's up? No, Congress definitely did not give his blessing, although I bet they would have, because over 90% of them are bought and paid for. Pull up Patriot Voice. What's Patriot Voice? Is it on YouTube? All right, I'll pull it up. What am I putting up? Is this what you're talking about, this girl? Or is it another video? Video explaining the final battle? It's on X. X? All right. Bye, Bill. Is this it?
Falls, then the problem would be solved. But Iran is no longer Iran of the past. Iran is no longer that big nation, that regional strong arm. We are working against Iran in many ways and in ways that would be revealed at a later stage. And I can say that Israel is much stronger, much greater than it has been in the past. We need to recognize this.
Yeah, you guys got to let me know. You should send me the link on Discord. Oh, Mad World, we got to finish setting that up, and then we can break the news. That's right. The RealBayes Discord is coming, courtesy of Mad World. Lemon, yes, I do see a connection. I'm gonna get into that another time, though. Yeah, screw it. Let's launch it right now. Especially if people are saying that they're not getting the notifications. Let's get that bitch rolling. And the Discord is for everybody. It's not just for members. Although we are gonna have, I do want to have a channel in there for the members. Here we go. All right, we're gonna go back to the next video though. We'll get to that video, Tom. Don't worry. Jackie, I hear you. Believe me, I'm new to Discord myself. It's like a new thing. Mad's gonna get everybody the information. Don't worry. All right, let's watch this.
Let me just ask you one last question, because he called it 60 years ago. You referred to what a war with Iran would do to the United States, and I don't know that a lot of people in this country fully understand what Iran is as a nation state. It's not Afghanistan. What do you think the immediate and then longer term effects of a war with Iran would be on the United States?
Immediately, it would be very bloody. I have no doubt that we could probably defeat some of their air defense and go in there and have another shock and awe campaign. But again, like we saw how the shock and awe campaign in Iraq really didn't actually work in the long run. So I have no doubt that we'd have some immediate results that people would cheer about here in the United States. But Iran, Persia has always been an empire. It's been around longer than any of the other players in the modern Middle East right now, and they are not going anywhere. And right now, Iran has a lot of internal problem. They have a lot of internal strife with the Ayatollah and that government that's only been in power since 1979. But again, if we start conducting strikes in Iran, everyone in Iran will rally around their leader and they will become even more revolutionary.
You guys remember when this started? And Trump and Netanyahu said that, they're trying to save the Iranian people, that the Iran government is taking out its own people and we need to save them. Remember that's what they were saying? They're trying to show videos of people dancing in the street, even though I think it was Mike Pompeo saying, God bless all the most odd agents that were in Iran. Whatever was going on there, I'm sure there was some foreign intelligence. And when I say foreign intelligence, I mean foreign to Iran that was stirring things up and trying to cause some kind of revolution from the inside. And that probably has a lot to do with if Iran did take out any of its own people. I mean, that's just a theory. That's just a conspiracy theory. I might need my tinfoil hat for that one. But I'll tell you what's not a conspiracy theory. That the first day of this war, a school got bombed. And I don't know, if you're trying to save civilians of a foreign nation, I'm pretty sure that the last thing that you're going to do is bomb a school filled with children. That's like the kind of thing that you do if you want to radicalize a nation, if you want to provoke them, give them a reason to retaliate so that you can paint them to be more dangerous than they would have been otherwise, and then have a reason to escalate the situation yourself, which is exactly what they did. They bombed the oil refinery. They bombed the water supply. They've killed over 1,300 Iranians. There's over 900 dead in Lebanon. And now, how is Iran responding? They're bombing U.S. bases in all the different nations in the region. The Iron Dome is compromised. Tel Aviv's been getting hit. You know, Benjamin Netanyahu, we don't know if he's alive, if he's dead, if he's injured. I hear that his brother died. I hear that one of the top Mossad agents was killed. Who is benefiting from this? Why are we doing this? And you guys know me. You know, like there are a lot of other people that, you know, are critical of our not so greatest ally and of Trump that bring a lot more anger to it than I do. Like, what do I tell you guys? You know, it's like pray for your enemies. Like, the best thing you could do is not hope that bad things happen to people. The best thing that you could do is pray that they find Jesus. Like, I believe that. I truly, truly believe that. And I try to like put out these positive vibes, just hoping that it catches. You know what I mean? Like hoping it'll spread. Because if hatred and negativity and fear are contagious, then you have to believe that positive energy and love can be contagious too. And that's the only way we're going to counteract it. I know that sounds cheesy, but I really in my heart believe that violence begets violence, and you're never gonna end a war by killing. You're just not. You know, and even if you're able to, it means that you're going to take out so many people that like your soul is going to be gone. And at some point, it's like you lose the piece of yourself that you're supposed to be fighting for. And that's what I feel is happening to America right now. You know, because there are a lot of people, there are a lot of Americans that are still supporting this war, that are still choosing to believe the propaganda. And I think that they're compromising their morality. I think that they're selling their souls. I do. And I don't wish harm on anybody. You know, I said the other day, and you guys were laughing about it, but Netanyahu was very, very persistent. He pushed for this war for 30 years. Imagine if he found Jesus 30 years ago and spent all that time and energy trying to get us all universal health care. He would have been the one to do it. I promise you. And that's why even now, with everything going on, like I refuse to have anything other than good wishes for him and for everybody. Like, I don't want to see any more death on either side. Like, whatever sins any of these people committed, I just want them all to find Jesus and try to repent. The worst things that they did before, you just got to hope that they're going to try that much harder to make up for it, even if they never can. And I know that I'm a dreamer and that that's just some fairy tale bullshit. But at least in my own way, I feel like I'm doing my own part. That at least I'm not making it worse. At least I'm not giving anybody a reason to be anti-Semitic. You know, and maybe that's meaningless, but I don't think so. I don't know if it's enough, but I'm trying.
And then we will have Iranian proxies throughout the entire region that will be conducting attacks just like we had in Jordan. And really, in the long term, Tucker, the axis that has been built really since Putin invaded Russia and we decided that since Putin invaded Ukraine and we decided we were going to throw this massive sanctions package at them, China has come in as a major player, and we are deeply compromised by China. They control a lot of our economy. They control global manufacturing. They're deeply embedded in Wall Street, and they've also made deals with the Iranians. They want access to Iranian petro, not to mention the fact that Biden killed off U.S. energy independence, and now he's going after LNG, and the world's biggest LNG exporters are Iran, Russia.
And keep in mind, this interview right here, this was 2 years ago. This was 2 years ago. This is before Trump got into office. You know, these sentiments, what he's saying now, is part of the reason why he got the job. But did he get the job because that's the job that Trump wanted him to do? If so, then what changed? Or was this just part of the theater? Was this just part of fooling us, giving us the false sense of security? Keep rallying behind Trump while he covers up for the files before he got us into this war. I just don't know. I don't know.
Russia and Qatar. So this axis would become very powerful. If we get deeply involved and deeply entangled with Iran, we are playing right into China's hands, because China would like nothing more than for us to be committing our military industrial base to a war in Eastern Europe, in Ukraine, and then to be committing our conventional military power, our blood and our treasure, back in the Middle East. That will make the Pacific, our actual border, extremely vulnerable to Chinese aggression. Or China will simply just watch us bleed out economically as we bleed out on the battlefield on these couple different theaters. It's absolute insanity. It's opening up Pandora's box. And again, for what gain to the American people?
I mean, I think that's the most reasonable, common sense based, factual assessment I've seen of this from anyone.
I think so too. And as we see how all this plays out, we're going to find out who is right. Although I think we already know. And now let's see what was said today.
So we knew each other. And the last time I saw Charlie Kirk on this earth was in June in the West Wing, in the stairway. And I said hi to him, and he looked me in the eye, and he said very loudly, and it's a small, you've been in the West Wing, it's small, it's a tight space. And he said, "Joe, stop us from getting into a war with Iran," very loudly.
He was single-minded.
And he walked off, and he went, I believe, into the Oval. So when one of President Trump's closest advisors, who is vocally advocating for us to not go to war with Iran and for us to rethink at least our relationship with the Israelis, and then he's suddenly publicly assassinated, and we're not allowed to ask any questions about that.
You know, and that is like the brain screw for me. Because when you look at it like that, then it is very, very clear that Charlie Kirk was killed. And you have a motive, you have people that were capable of it. You know the history with political assassinations, and it all makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. But then when you analyze the scene itself, before, during, and immediately after, there are just so many anomalies and so many things wrong. And then when you see the way that the investigation, or I mean, if you want to call it that, when I say investigation, usually I'm referring to like the internet and, you know, like Candace Owens and Baron Coleman, Ian Carroll, Ryan Mata, Nate Valhalla, everybody that's, even myself, although I wouldn't put myself in a category with them, but I've done my own little internal investigation. Like any of you guys that have been doing the research and following this from the beginning, that's the real investigation. The official investigation we know is a cover-up. But it just, knowing what we know about the indoctrination that we're under and how they're constantly putting a spell on, like they have us all under a spell, and it's reinforced with Hollywood, with the music industry. You know, we don't go to school to learn how to think. We go to school to get brainwashed. Like even going to college, it is straight up indoctrination, and it's conditioning. Like even the debt, the cost of the college itself is part of the conditioning to set you up to be programmed to being used to being in debt. It normalizes this idea that you're going to spend your life in debt. You're going to work, you're going to get out of debt to pay off your college bills, and then you're going to get a house, you're going to have a mortgage, you're going to have a car. You're just always going to have this debt, credit cards, like it never ends. It never ends. And all of this gets reinforced, and They have separated us from God. They have separated us from nature. They have separated us from what's real. And they have us trapped. That's why I say it's like we're all cursed. You know, we're all under the spell. And the real world, the real decisions that get made, all the way at the top, we're talking about the Rothschilds. We're talking about the Vatican. We're all the way at the top. They don't live in the bubble that we do. They don't. Like even these politicians, like it has never, if it wasn't clear before, it has never been more clear now that when Trump walks into a room with a bunch of billionaires, that he is the low man on the totem pole. He is the little guy. You know, he gets on TV and MAGA and all these people that support him and love him. They act like he's the big swinging dick. Like you ask Alex Jones, well, Trump's got the files. He's using the files. He is the deep state. Yo, get the fuck out of here. Yo, in the grand scheme of things, the totem pole in the whole world, the world powers, Trump isn't a fucking busboy. Okay, let's not get it twisted. He is just like any other grubber. You know, in 1990, when Trump went bankrupt, okay, it was Wilbur Ross working for Rothschild's Inc. that facilitated all of his loans to get him out of debt. And they probably had him by the balls ever since. They probably had him by the balls before that, when he was mentored by Roy Cohn. You know, there's a lot of stuff that I've done research on, and a lot of stuff that I know that I don't really get into, that I haven't gotten into yet, because I mean, it's kind of treacherous waters, but it's like people need to wake up. Like, you guys need to wake up. You need to do your own research. Like, I can make these videos. I could point you guys in the right direction. And I know a lot of you guys know what's up, and more are learning every day. But we have to break the spell. We just have to. I really believe that our lives depend on it at this point. I really do.
It's a data point. It's a data point that we need to look into.
What do you mean when you say we're not allowed to ask any questions about that?
We've been told that this individual, Robinson, is a lone gunman, and maybe he is. But the investigation that I was a part of, the National Counterterrorism Center was a part of, we were stopped from continuing to investigate. And the FBI will say that they stopped that because they wanted to have turn everything over to the Utah state authorities. Everything's going to trial. It's very, very sensitive. But there was still a lot for us to look into that I can't really get into. But there was still linkage for us to investigate that we needed to run down. And I'm not making any conclusions. I'm not saying
no, I don't think you are.
Because of this happened. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying there's unanswered questions. We know the pressure because of the text messages that have been made public that Charlie was under a lot of pressure from a lot of pro-Israel donors. And again, we know Charlie was advocating to President Trump against this war with Iran.
And there you go. Just like that, you have somebody in the administration saying some of the things that we've all been thinking the whole time. But again, just like some other parts of this investigation that's happened online and some of these videos that have come out recently and the 911 tapes. Like, why so long? Why now? Why now? Now that we see everything that's happened, and the cover-up of the files, and then the release, and the war, and whatever's with Charlie Kirk, I feel like right now, anybody who's genuine, whose heart is in the right place, who really cares about the truth and saving America, needs to put all their cards on the table. No more surprises, no more fishing, no more, oh, I got a picture, but I can't show it yet, no more videos. Like, fuck all that shit. Because at this point, it all just seems like bullshit. If we're going to break the spell, we need everybody to get involved and put their cards on the table and band together. Because we also have to start smoking out some controlled opposition, because we know that it exists. It's something that not a lot of people in my position like to talk about. And I know that behind the scenes, everybody has some of their theories. But a lot of these guys, they just don't like to say things out loud. And maybe they're smart for it. Like I do have the smallest freaking channel in the game right now, or one of them. I'm sure that's not a coincidence. I've been pretty consistent. I think I do a pretty decent job with this. I've gotten shouted out by enough big names where I should be able to at least crack 100 live viewers, no? I got a couple thousand followers. I mean, damn, on Instagram this week, I got like 8,000 more followers. But yet somehow when I come on YouTube and I do a live, I don't know. I just feel like I'm getting bottlenecked. I feel like I get throttled. I feel like I get suppressed. maybe I'm just not playing the game right. Maybe I'm just not as good at this as I thought I was. Or maybe I'm just a little too real. Maybe I'm just a little too spot on with some of my analyses. I don't know. I'm not trying to think too highly of myself either. And then one of my favorite men on the internet. Let me fix this. And this is how we're going to end the show tonight. Bum, 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 bum. I'm going to make myself small. Sorry, I didn't have this prepared. All right, so Professor Jang put this video up. I really recommend this. If there's one video that I think any of you guys should watch this week, it's this one. Because he really breaks down the spell very, very well. I didn't even watch the whole thing yet. I only watched like the first 15 minutes of it. In the beginning, he kind of like talks about like people are in a cave. Like he has like an analogy that like we're all in a cave and it's like this fake reality. And that when people try to escape the cave, that the system just lets them. It's like, go. And basically he says that the people are so indoctrinated that they defend it, that they fight, that they're willing to kill to protect their own fake reality that is enslaving them. He doesn't say it in so many words. That's just, my analysis of it. But he does a pretty good job breaking down the whole system. Let's watch part of it now. And no, I'm not ending it now. I'm just trying to structure it a little differently. So I'm going to play some of this. I'm going to end the official show, and then I'm just going to do the credits, and then I'm going to stay on, and we're just going to hang out. But I want to try to, make it more watchable for the people that aren't watching it live, so that when they play it back, they watch it later, that it's a little easier to watch. But anyway, let's get into this.
And the Five Eyes, okay? Basically the Anglosphere, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, Britain, and then finally, of course, the United States. Okay? Sorry. The United States. All right, so as you can see, this is a system that benefits the United States and its allies to the detriment of China and Russia, okay? But this is how the game is structured. Of course, if the United States doesn't like you, what it can do is not allow you to play this game. And these countries, of course, would be North Korea and Iran, among other countries, okay? So China and Russia isn't happy about the system, but at least they get to play. Iran and North Korea are not even allowed to play the game of the global economy, all right? Now, of course, you can't have people believing that, okay, this entire global economy is structured so that the West can steal resources from everyone else, okay? So what you do is you create another layer called the rules-based international order, okay? Multilateral organizations, which includes the UN and the WTO, okay, World Trade Organization, okay? This is called the rules-based international order. But it's really controlled by the empire, okay? So all these are just basically shadows on the wall that the empire is creating, projecting, okay? To fool us into behaving the way the empire wants. All right, so now that you have the system in place, what you need to do is indoctrinate people into believing that the system is fair, just, and good, okay? And when you do that,
I want you guys to really pay attention to this because, this video that he's made right here, he's really breaking down what I've been trying to spend the last couple of weeks talking to you guys about and trying to tell you, He seems, I don't know if I totally agree with his actual breakdown, like the way that he details it, but overall, he's very, very accurate.
Through three mechanisms. These three mechanisms, of course,
I would probably just write it out a little differently, but that's just me, and I will in the near future.
Of course, are education, media, and culture. Right? What is education? Well, schools, guys, and universities, academia. You think that you go to university to learn knowledge. No, you don't. You go to university to be brainwashed into believing that this system is not just fear, but actually what really makes this system work is the rules-based national order. Okay? You don't even think about empire. So that's education. Then of course you have media, which is CNN, BBC, New York Times. Each time you read an article, you think you're receiving news. You're not receiving news. You're being brainwashed into believing that this order is fair, just, and appropriate, okay? A phrase that you...
Now, I just want to take a second here, because think about it. Back to Charlie Kirk. If he was really dead, okay? If he was really dead, and there were all these people that were really trying to figure it out, why would they put the spotlight on him? Why would the algorithm be pushing it out? Why would it be all you see on X? I know you listen to Joe Kent, you listen to all these people, you play Charlie's old clips about his feelings on the war with Iran and, you know, his tensions that he was having with certain donors and this and that. But how do we know that it's not all part of the show? How do we know that it's not part of the programming? How do you know that it wasn't to sell the martyr? To make it more real, to get us reeled in even more and get us more emotionally invested. Have us all going down the rabbit holes and not trying to solve the real problems. It's just some food for thought. Again, I could be wrong, but it's definitely something to think about right now.
Keep on hearing over and over is rules-based national order. Okay, but it's not a rules-based national order. It's Plato's cave. It's a deception. And the last, of course, is culture, which is Hollywood. And, you know, television shows, sitcoms, okay, things that you absorb every day. There's high culture and there's low culture. All right, so these are three mechanisms in which this order is basically indoctrinated into everyone. So that you don't even know this is a deception, okay? You believe that this is reality itself. And this is all to create values and norms. Okay, just the way you see the world, which allows for the creation of a legal structure. So that if you break the rules, it's not that the elite will come after you. They don't have to come after you because everyone else will come after you. Okay? If you're that guy who discovers that this is all deception, they'll kill you. Okay? Not the elite, but the people around you will kill you because you're breaking their fantasy. Okay?
And maybe they won't off you, but they'll ostracize you. They'll judge you. They'll shame you. They'll make you feel like you're the crazy one. Guys, put a 1 in the chat if you have ever felt that way, especially in this past year with all this stuff, like in your home life. Whether it was with your friends, with your family, with your coworkers, that at any point in your life that you had that like light bulb moment where you realized that something was screwed up, something is not right. You started asking questions. You started theorizing different things. And the second you started speaking out, that the people that you trusted most, the people that you love, the people that you care about, the people that you would want to make the changes for, maybe even more so than for yourself, were the ones to attack you. I know I can 1,000%. I know I can 1,000% relate with that. Sorry, you know I've been going through it. That was why a month or so ago when I said, like, when the files came out, and I said, like, I'm starting over. Like I have no problem cutting people off, no lost love, but fuck them, and I'm moving on. And it's not because I care about anybody any less. But I see what it is. Like you could bring the horse to the pond, but you can't make them drink. It's just the truth. It's the way it is. And I know my mission. I know what it is. I am outside of that bubble. I might not be high enough up to really know what's going on, but I have a pretty good idea of what's bullshit. And some of it is even hard for me to believe. Some of it's even hard for me to comprehend. I mean, think about it. You don't think it's tough for me when I get on camera and tell the whole world, hey, I think Charlie Kirk's alive? You know how hard that was for me? Like, I'm not doing this for clickbait. Like, my credibility's on the line. You know, and it's not even just what I see. It's like this feeling that I have in my gut. You know, and shout out to Kelly Raybon because, you know, she was there first, you know, and she was saying it. And I said to her, because I'm pointing out all the same reasons that people believe that he's really dead. And I'm like, you know, like, but don't, and she's like, Bayes, I know exactly what you're talking about, but we can't forget about this. Like, we can't forget about the shirt. We can't forget about the lack of blood. We can't forget about all this other stuff. And I just have this feeling in my gut. And it didn't matter how many times Blake dragged her through the mud on camera on a live stream or anybody else attacked her or silenced her in some way or another. She stuck to her beliefs. She stuck to her intuition, the feeling in her gut. And after working with her and working with Danks and working with Blake and talking to other people, like after a while, I just had to like unplug, you know? I like unplugged. And then I went back to the beginning. I watched all the footage again, every image, every video, and I saw a lot of things that I didn't see the first time. And then I went back and I started watching the footage from other people. From Ben Shapiro, from Steven Crowder, from Candace Owens, from Baron Coleman. I started watching everybody's reactions, the early parts of the investigation, and, you know, the pattern recognition started kicking in. I started seeing a lot of things that didn't exactly make sense. And then I started looking at my own notes, you know, because I was doing all my stuff online. I'd write stuff down. I'd type stuff in my phone. And I'm just like, yo, like, this fucking guy's alive. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't know what to tell you. But I can't really explain it. You know, I mean, I just tried to, but if it's not clicking for you, like, you might have to actually see all the footage that I saw in order. But like, just go back to the beginning. You know, just unplug for a day or two. Don't worry about the next episode. Go back and watch the whole movie again, and see if you see the signs that I see. That's all I'm saying.
Showing the fantasy. All right, so this is a very effective system. The problem, though, is that you need to spread the system, okay? So there's three problems, okay? First of all, you have to protect this system, the status quo. Then you have to spread this system as well, okay? And then you also need to justify this system. And you do that through three transnational systems, three transnational organizations. And these are, okay?
Listen, I see what you guys are saying in the chat. I don't know how many of you watched my members only video the other day where I kind of hinted at it. But, you know, put it this way. I'm the reason that Blake's not going to be doing the Saturday show with us anymore. Like, I'm not trying to talk shit. I'm not trying to stir shit. But, like, you know, like, you get anybody out there that likes Blake, like, you can just blame me. You know, I'm not going to, like, I'm not going to Hong Kong and, like, getting a little Asian lady to put a curse on the guy. But there's a reason I don't want to work with him. I'll just say that. All right?
First, of course, is intelligence. What is intelligence? Spies, okay? Their job is to infiltrate other nations' elites and co-opt them into the system. That's what their job is, okay? That's what intelligence does. Then you have crime. Crime just engages in the most profitable enterprises, which includes, of course, drugs, human trafficking, and something called money laundering, okay? And this is a way to incentivize the global elite to work together, okay? So that's the first two. And then there's one more mechanism called science. Now you think that science is a...
Yo, this is actually right around what I got up to. I'm gonna cut this soon because I can't play the whole video here. And I want to watch the rest before I cover it. I'm trying, like, stuff that's this sensitive. I'm not trying to just, like, watch it for the first time on a live stream and You know, like he doesn't even monetize his content. Like that's for a reason. So, but what he says about science is so true. He's about to get into it. It's something that I've said in the past. I don't trust the science. I don't trust the science. I don't trust NASA. I don't trust Big Pharma. I don't trust any of these cocksuckers. Because the science in this country is not about the truth. It's about reinforcing the agenda, justifying what they're doing, giving motives for what they want to do. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit.
About pursuing the truth. No, it's not. Okay? Science is fundamentally about finding evidence to justify and protect the status quo. Okay? That's why science is fundamentally materialistic. Okay? All right? And what? So so we have to remember, like, this system is trying to create values, right? And these three major values is something called the open society. Okay? What's open society? It's just basically globalization, multiculturalism, DEI, right? Diversity is good. Why is it good? Because it's good. We don't know. It's good. Okay? Do you understand? They never provide a reason, but it's always, well, you don't believe it, it means you're a racist, which is bad. Okay? So, open society. Second is the idea of privatization. Okay, or what we call neoliberalism or free market, meaning that governments suck at what they do. Therefore, you should allow private entrepreneurs to control everything. Okay, and this idea of neoliberalism. Again, there's not much evidence to support this, but if you don't believe this, it means you're a communist. Okay, which is bad, by the way. And the last thing, of course, is consumerism. Okay. So consumerism is just like, how do you prove your value in life? How do you pursue purpose and meaning in life? Buy things, man.
Let me ask you guys. What do you think gives you guys purpose in life? Do you think it's material things? Yes or no? And was there a time that you thought it was material things? I know there was for me. I mean, not necessarily material things. But I think that this idea of status really is, you know, a big driver for people to get on that mouse wheel. It's like a fake goal, a fake purpose when you're inside of the bubble. Like, what kind of car are you going to get? I used to think, I thought it was crazy. Like, when I found out that, like, a Lexus is just like a luxury version of a Toyota, and like an Acura is like the Honda luxury model, you know, because I used to like see a Honda. I'm like, I don't want to drive a Honda. I want an Acura, you know, and then it's like you find out that it's really the same shit. You get the lowest level Acura and the highest level Honda, and the only difference is about 10 grand. Like, that just like blew my mind. You know, I found that out because I was going to get an Acura. I was going to get a Lexus. And then all of a sudden I got into a Toyota and I'm like, this thing looks just like the Lexus. It was the XLE. It was like, you know, like one of the like totally fully loaded. The guy's like, yeah, you know, Lexus is a Toyota. I'm like, what do you mean? You know? And like, that was just like, it was like one of these weird moments in my life where it was like a signal of just how fake the world is. You know, I don't know. Did any of you guys ever have an experience like that? Where it's like this like common knowledge that you just weren't aware of, and it just like made you think, it like triggered like a light bulb in your brain where you're like, wait a minute, like that can't be right. You know what I mean? Like, same thing with the supermarket, you know, like, because I grew up poor, and not like poor, but like, you know, we had some rough years when I was a kid. And it's like when times get tough, you got to get the cheap brands. It's like no one wants to be the kid that has like the off-brand cereals and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Or like, you know, the store brand stuff. And then you get older and you start doing the research, and you find out that it's made by the same companies. That sometimes it might be one little ingredient in the same batch, and the difference is $1. It's literally the sticker. Like, one has the brand name, one has the store brand name. It's the same shit, and one is like $1 or $2 cheaper. And it's like, makes you think about all the people that would just, for every item, they would rather spend that extra $1 or $2 just not to be the family that gets the store brand. It's really crazy. It's really, really crazy. And that is the level of indoctrination. That is what it's like living inside of the bubble. Because you do get this peer pressure from everybody. You do feel this shame. You do feel this like obligation that you have to like keep up. You know? No kid like when I was a kid, it's like I was the kid that I never had the designer clothes. I got like the cheap shirts at Kmart or whatever, you know? And I never thought anything of it. But then you get older and then kids start talking about it. You know, you get to middle school, high school, and it's like, in the beginning, I'm like who cares? Like, I don't care what kind of shoes I'm wearing, you know? But then you hear about it for a couple months, and before you know it, you know, it's like, I'm trying to get a job on the weekend so I could get Air Force Ones or Jordans or some other shit. And that's what happens. It's like when you're young, you're innocent, you're in tune with nature, you're in the backyard playing with dirt, you believe in God, you know, you believe in things. Like every day is an opportunity. You wake up and you're just happy to be up. Like the world, you got the life by the balls, you can do whatever you want. And then it's like the older you get, the more time you spend in these fucking public schools, the more time you spend in these social circles by these people that have already been indoctrinated, the more time you spend watching TV and listening to music and looking up to these false idols. It's like the reverse. The less progress you make, the more your brain starts like unwinding and you start like seeing things from this like cynical, jaded lens of bullshit. And now we have multiple generations that have just grown up believing all of this crap. And we are the generation that's waking up. You know, like that's why I always say it. That's why I always say it. We are the light. We are the ones that are awake. We are the ones outside of the bubble. And it's up to us to spread the truth. You know? And I say us, like I might have the platform, but I don't put myself on no pedestal. You guys know that. It's up to all of us. And that's why, shout out to Mad World for making that Discord. Because we got to have more of a community. You know, up to this point, I give you guys the email and you guys contact me and we have a back and forth. But you guys need to start talking to each other too. We have a lot that we need to figure out. We have a lot of changes that we need to make. We need to save our country. We need to save our country. We need to make sure that we need to make sure that our children grow up to be more like Joe Kent's or Charlie's, if that's who he really is. You know, and I'll save that for another time. But the real life version of these characters. We need to make sure that our children grow up outside of the bubble, outside the indoctrination, not getting poisoned, not getting brainwashed. We got to keep them off of the mouse wheel. And on that note, I'm going to hit the credits. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, like the video, subscribe, hit the bell, all that fun stuff. And then we're going to hang out. We're going to have some fun. We'll check out some other videos. I'll interact with the chat. But I want to try doing it this way. Because I've been hearing some feedback that sometimes people like, you know, they watch the video back and they kind of like get lost because they interact with the chat too much throughout the whole time. So I'm trying to switch it up. So I'm going to do my closing statement and then we're going to be right back. So remember, guys, be kind, be grateful, do something nice for somebody, and pray. I don't know why my voice cracked, but okay.